And some parents, they don't know it, but they're in an unhealthy pattern with their kids. They want to feel needed by their kid. We're so afraid. We're so afraid that the worst is going to happen. And our kids pick up on that.
I'm their mother, How could she be a mother figure in their life?
How long are we going to be okay with massive amounts of kids spending 12 years in school and still coming out having no skills, no purpose, and no identity?
I don't think people understand that is shame when you parent your children that way. And it's probably because we were shamed by somebody and you're just regurgitating it right back out at your child because that's the emotion that it triggers.
You need somebody that guides you and challenges you because sometimes just listening isn't enough. We need somebody that's going to say, I hear you, but have you thought about this?
Sometimes then jealousy creeps in as a parent because, they're telling my mom everything and they're not telling me anything. And why is that?
We want to outdo our parents. We want to be better parents. We want to give our kids what we feel like our parents didn't give to us.
We should all want that. You want to make your job easier. You don't want to do it all by yourself. Why is everybody exhausted? Because you're trying to do everything by yourself. It's like you got to ask for help.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my incredible co-host, Coach Mia.
Hello, Seth. It seems like it's been a while.
It seems like
you've
been virtual, you've been here, we've had guests. Anyways, if you tuned in, 5-Star Life, we're a nonprofit organization, and we're on a mission to transform kids' lives by changing the way they think, the way they act, the way they lead. And we equip them through a bunch of different program areas, academically, through education, athletically, through 5-star basketball, emotionally, and in their leadership, in their mindset. And then, something that we've been talking about a lot, Mia, through one of our newest programs, 5-Star Life Innovative Learning. Like the question we've been asking is, how long are we going to be okay with massive amounts of kids spending 12 years in school and still coming out having no skills, no purpose, and no identity? This show is going to be fun because we're going to unpack one of our lessons that we're actually students are going to go through. Thousands of kids will go through this lesson we'll unpack today. And I also want to remind listeners that for the last 4 years, we've been developing an app. We're watching an unprecedented amount of parents come forth saying, I don't know what to do for my teen. They're depressed, they're anxious, they're lonely, they're struggling in school, they're struggling with confidence, they're struggling with peer pressure. I'm struggling as a parent with connection to them. I don't know how to relate. They don't want me to connect. They're giving me the stiff arm. So we've been building this parent app, and we're really excited about it because we really believe that if parents could take back their homes, it could change education. If you talk to educators, they know this. So many issues go back to the home. And so this parent app is a way of us putting in the hands of a parent the tools to really help you lead the conversations that truly shape your kids' lives.
Now, you'd mentioned teen. What ages are you?
Preteens and teens. So, 10, 11 probably to 17, 18. And, so many kids, the conversations and the culture and the ecosystem they're in is shaping their culture, their mindset, their attitudes, their expressions, their dreams. And so what this app is going to do and is doing is it's putting parents back in the center of that conversation. And I believe that if families and if parents, if they could have one set weekly conversation, one conversation a week that's focused around issues and connection and things that are really important, the values of their family. If you could have one conversation a week, that's what this app is built to do. One conversation a week. Think about that. 52 conversations a year.
Yeah. And it's not that long. That's the other thing. I mean, I'm just so in love with our app because it's practical and it's just, they're these snippets of lessons. Then you can have conversation that can last forever, but We're not asking you to give us an hour, make it work for your family.
And I remember as a kid, my family did this. We had family meetings. And we didn't really call it a family meeting, but my dad would say, "Hey, we're gonna connect. We're gonna talk tonight." And those family conversations set a precedent for me being able to verbalize what I was thinking, what I was feeling. It was a place where I knew that was a safe space to talk about anything. Because my parents also knew what not to allow them alarm that would then create a wall where I would just as a kid think, this is a formality.
Mm-hmm.
This is BS. They're just checking a box. They don't know how to connect. They don't know where I'm at. So anyways, this app is going to be a powerful tool.
And you know what, too, as a parent, you're going to get it just as much out of it as your kids are. I mean, I learned, and I could watch the same one over and over again, and every time I'm like, oh, yeah, there's something new.
Same. I get more out of it than anybody, and that's the unique thing. We have this program called LIFT, Leadership Infusion for Families and Teens. It's the program for those who are consistent listeners. It's kids who've gotten in trouble with the law. They're then referred to this 6-week program. Their parents are mandated to attend as well. And time after time, parents at the end, they say, I got so much out of this. Like I'm a different parent. I have a different perspective, and I'm seeing the ripple effects across my family because of me. And so I think, again, one of the things that I want to unpack in today's show, Mia, is one of the greatest mistakes that parents today make. And I see this might be the top mistake that parents are making in this generation. And it's my generation. It's the helicopter parent generation. And one of the greatest mistakes they're making is trying to protect their kids from adversity.
Which basically is everything,
Yes. So it's funny because the pendulum swings, right? The previous generation of parents, parenting to them was providing food, shelter, and safety. The rest you can figure out on your own. You're going to figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't necessarily about investing in everything and trying to get them and trying to vicariously live a better life through my kid. That sounded really bad about my own generation, but that's what we feel. We want to outdo our parents. We want to be better parents. We want to give our kids what we feel like our parents didn't give to us. And so the pendulum swings and we compensate, and how that often translates is us being afraid that they're going to be damaged by life because it's a hard world.
And it is a hard world, and some parents, though, where do you start? I'm so overwhelmed. And they probably feel like, you know what, nobody did that for me, too. So, I mean, is there a place to start?
I think the starting point is to define what protecting your kid means, because we're not advocating in this conversation that you shouldn't protect your kids. But it's drawing a line in the sand and saying there's a big difference between protecting your child from harm and protecting your kid from challenge and adversity and anything that's uncomfortable to them. Huge difference. Mm-hmm. We all have a number one responsibility to protect our kids, to keep them safe from true harm. Now, what is true harm? Is having your feelings hurt by a friend? Is being made fun of? Is struggling and being disciplined by an educator or a coach? Is losing? Is not getting an award? Not being successful? Is that true harm? No, that's life. And we're going to unpack in this conversation what parents can do to start to get this right. The 5-Star Life Parent app. Each lesson includes a short video and simple discussion prompts designed to help families reconnect and start talking again. Because when parents lead the conversation, kids grow stronger. Download the 5-Star Life Parent app today and start your first family conversation this week, transforming kids' lives by challenging the way they think, act, and lead. We're diving into this conversation talking about one of the greatest mistakes parents of teenagers make, and that is being overprotective, trying to make it my mission as a parent to protect my kid from harm. And we've kind of drew a line in the sand saying it is a number one job of a parent to protect your kids from danger. It's not your job to protect your kids from adversity, from challenges, or from discomfort. And I think that distinction kind of helps us mentally break down, is this helicopter parenting or is this good parenting?
How, as a parent, do we get to that place, though?
Fear.
So
Right?
we're parenting out of fear.
Yeah, I think so. Again, it goes back to our upbringing usually. And for some reason, my generation, we have picked on our parents at a high level. We have broken down all their mistakes, all their failures, and a lot of our shortcomings, because there's a lot of psychology and a lot of neuroscience that talks about how childhood shapes you. What we've done is we've taken that way out of proportion and we've basically said, here, I'm going to place all of my stuff on you. And now the onus is on me for my child to make sure I don't do that again. And so it comes from a place of trying to balance what we're hearing about psychology and neuroscience and trying to learn and grow. But if we're not careful, it really becomes this fear that I don't want to reproduce what was produced in me. But through repetition, you teach your kid to be afraid. So here's a way to look at it. So if a parent is triggered by a situation, a kid bombs a test or they have an issue with a friend, and if that parent responds by trying to protect the kid from the relational hurt or from the heart hurt from failing the test or from the shame or the embarrassment, and they try to just make it all better, versus seeing your child as a resilient, strong, 5-star kid, and you say something like, oh my goodness, I'm really sorry. That must hurt. Oh, that's tough. They got a bad grade. That doesn't feel good. What are you going to do about it? You're really strong. Like, what's your next step? What that does is that encourages in the kid, it puts this self-confidence, it puts self-efficacy, that belief that I can figure this out. I can do hard things. Or what you do is you dampen that by coming to their rescue. And now what your kid needs is you to make it better every time. There's a difference between comforting them and then saying, what are you going to do? And allowing them to lead from there, and comforting and helicoptering and fixing it for them.
I think an important part is just how you said that. It has to be said in love. Because, I mean, I've said those same things, and it's like, what do you mean? You don't feel bad for me? You're not going to help me? And it's like, no, that's not what we're saying. But, could you have done something better?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, there's got to be empathy. We're not talking about removing empathy from the process. So my son, I think I mentioned this before, this is last semester, and we're eating dinner, and all of a sudden, I hear him go, oof. And, and I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, my grades are cooked. And I'm like, oh, really? Tell me about it. So he pulls up the app and shows me, which here's where my mind goes. My mind goes to, it's a sharp kid. He's bringing it to me. He's not waiting for me to catch it. So I'm already thinking positive about my son. He's strong. And he's the one that's bearing the bad news. He's not waiting for me to bring it to him. So I'm just breathing on that. I'm just like, so that's where my mind is. So he's like, yeah, my grades are good. I'm like, how so? And he starts telling me where they're at, like where a couple grades are at. I'm like, oof is right. I get the oof. That's tough. That's bad. Like, what are you going to do? So I empathized with him, and I was kind of with him. Mm-hmm. But then it was like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know. I got to lock in. And him saying I'm going to lock in, like he then started working on what do I need to do. And I think those little conversations like that, they seem so small, but I could have reacted out of fear and be like, you know what? I put money into basketball. I have you do all these things. And if you can't get this together, like there's going to be a consequence. Like, I don't know what to do with you. Yeah. Like, I'm disappointed. Well, all the shame does is break our connection. He's coming to me. That's connection. I will break my connection with him by shaming him And then I'm going to reinforce that, when something tough happens, that's not who I go to. I'm not running to him.
Yeah.
I'll either figure this out on my own or I'm going somewhere else. Or I just don't give a crap. Forget this. Right? Those are the messages we send.
Mm-hmm. I think that, you call it shame. I don't think people understand that that is shame when you parent your children that way. And it's probably because we were shamed by somebody and you're just, you know what I mean? You're just regurgitating it right back out at your child because that's the emotion that it triggers.
And I think when we overparent and we're overprotective, the message that we're sending, the subconscious, it never comes out of your lips, but the subconscious message your kids will get is, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. My parent does not believe I can figure this out. They don't think I can bounce back from this. So they are overcompensating. And so what it does is it discourages them to having a sense of agency to figure it out. And what it does, it can do a couple things. It'll cause a gap to grow up between your kid, or it can also cause a connection in this weird relationship where they're your all and you depend on them. And then that creates some healthy habits later on. If they're dependent on you to solve all their problems, that will become a pattern. They will come to you. And some parents, they don't know it, but they're in a healthy pattern with their kids. They want to feel needed by their kid.
You know what this reminds me of too, though, is that anxiety cycle. Because I'm getting anxious thinking about being parented like that or parenting like that. And we have created this generation of anxious kids. And some of it is, we're imposing that on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't think about it though.
100%. And that's the revelation that parents that are part of our parent app and part of our Lift program, they bring that up. They're like, I was so frustrated with my son for the last 18 months. And I joined the program and going through your lessons. And I have this epiphany that he's just a kid who wants his mom or wants his dad. And as I've woken up to this fact and as I've changed, he's changed. I have a different kid. And that is actually super exciting because it's very empowering knowing that we have that kind of influence. Again, talking about the parent app, Mia, this is why the parent and the family app is so powerful, because think about the conversations that could be happening and should be happening on a weekly basis that just aren't because we're all so busy or the TV's on or it's just a lack of intention is causing all these potential values and conversations and confidence and connections to being built. Mm-hmm. At 5-Star Life, we talk a lot about the right tools. See, the hammer is the courage to be the best person you can be. The chisel is the respect you give and the respect you earn. The level, that's the integrity that keeps you balanced in a world that's always shifting. And the saw represents responsibility. It is what separates you from harmful actions and experience. It's the sacrifice it takes to work hard and be your best. Tools, when they're all used together, things are built. There's progress. But where there are no tools, there can be no progress. We give these important tools to kids every single day, and we couldn't do it without our partners like Global Link Distribution. Global Link supports this mission so that these values, courage, respect, integrity, responsibility, and sacrifice become the tools these amazing young people use to become great. Global Link Distribution is a leader and supplier to the RV, manufactured housing, cabinet shop, cargo, and horse trailer industries, but they're also a proud sponsor of this program to help 5-Star Life students thrive. It is our turn to see to it that our children have the tools that build greatness. Volunteer or donate today at 5starlife.org. I believe that one of the problems in this nation, Mia, is that it was Ronald Reagan who said that the most powerful place to raise a family, the most important conversation happens at the dinner table. And I think he's still right. And I think that one of the major factors in this country, the breakdown of our society, of our culture, of our values, of student motivation, of family cohesiveness, we have, like never before, kids, adult children, canceling their families, canceling their parents. And I think this breakdown goes back to conversations. We don't know how, as a society, to have conversations.
No. I was in a meeting before this, and we were talking about some of the series that we do on the parent app, and one of them is Mastering Conflict. And we don't do it enough. And I mean, I've been through that, several times, and we're like, we're going to do it again.
It's so simple, but think about this. And I want our audience to think about this. All the research and all of the just experience we have in history with life, we know intuitively, is that the number one need we have is to be loved, to be accepted, to be connected. That's what we long for, right? And so you look at society that's fragmented and broken down. If we could have one meaningful family conversation a week, just to connect, just to build relationships, and to center it around a value, a topic that's relevant to everybody, that would change a family. And if we could do that as a community, it could change a community. If we could do it as a region, it could change a region. If we could do it as a nation, it would change a nation. If this nation could return to having weekly conversations about life, all of life, and know that you have support. So we're talking about adversity, and one of the biggest mistakes parents make is trying to protect their kids from adversity. And again, adversity is going to come to all of us. And I think as a parent, the thing I want to encourage parents with is if you want your kid to thrive, you've got to teach them how to thrive through adversity. That means when adversity hits, you are going to model for them and teach them how to do it. Again, this app, we have a whole series, a 7-lesson series that will help you as a family walk through how do we thrive through adversity, not after adversity, not to get stuck in it forever because so many people do, but to thrive through it step by step. And one of the most important things that we teach in that series that I want to talk to parents about today is teaching your kids how to develop a support team. And by the way, these family conversations in this app, that's the foundational way to create a support team so your kids feel supported in their own home. Mm-hmm. Which, if you'd survey teens, you'd be surprised with how many teens would say, I don't feel supported in my own home. I don't feel safe in my own home. Not from a physical, not like it's abusive necessarily. There are a lot of those kids too. But I'm talking from an emotional and mental standpoint. Like I don't get support at home. And parents need not be offended by that because some of that's biologically motivated. Like kids, adolescents are trending towards independence. There is something innate saying you need to grow the heck up and make your own decisions and think for yourself and be independent to survive. That's innate within each one of us. Mm-hmm. However, there's a process. And how we as parents are in that process will determine if they just skin their knees through the process, if they lose limbs, and if you're a part of the process or excluded from the process.
As a parent, that's very hard because, when your kids are starting to pull away and they want some independence, and you want to give it to them, but then when they start to make these mistakes, this is also that, like, do you save them or then some people hold it against them? I mean, where is that natural or that healthy place to be?
That's a great question. And that's such a loaded, deep question because a lot of that goes back to, us as parents and where our identity is. Our problems were so busy that we don't take a look in the mirror to see we have stuff all over us that's not helping how we translate and how we interact with the world. Mm-hmm. And so just taking a peek in the mirror, like, I got to clean that up. And it's really simple edits that changes our parenting. There is no question that parenting a 7-year-old is going to be very different than parenting an 11 or 12-year-old. And so if you're insecure, then you will take that personally and you'll think I'm doing something wrong. And you will try to become their best friend. And a parent is not called to be the best friend. In adulthood, it can change, right? Mm-hmm. Based on commonality, connection. I mean, I know lots of people that are best friends with their kids. I think it's beautiful. But at this stage, you don't want to be best friends with your kids. You want to support them and help them thrive. So getting myself on my own feelings out of the way, like, okay, are they, what's going on? Am I losing them? No, you're not losing them. They are growing up. And there are some things that you need to make sure you have in place. You need to help them understand the power of a support team. Now, we teach kids the importance of being able to function independently. Like, that's something we teach. And kids love it because they want to be independent. And we tell kids, listen, in the lesson, I'm like, Coach Seth, I have the perfect solution to you never, ever having to have a parent, a teacher, or coach nag you again. Imagine if it could just all go away. Independence. If you can take care of your own room, your own grades, your own life, your own hygiene, guess what? None of the adults in your world, they are hoping they can nag you. They want to be free from the nagging, but they are afraid you're not going to figure this out. And you're going to be homeless, living in a van down by the river. And so they nag you. Independence is great when it comes to hygiene and academics and in terms of goals and going after life, taking initiative. Independence falls short and is something that you do. It will be a major mistake if you apply that to when you're going through adversity. When you're going through adversity, oh baby, that's when you got to lean on your support team. You need support through adversity. And there are three key supports, three people you need in your life that we teach.
And who are those three people?
They need somebody that listens to them, somebody that guides and coaches them, challenges them, and somebody that just walks with them through it consistently. And I think the listening piece, there are several people that could be listeners. They're just good listeners. There's some people that they're such great listeners. You don't feel ashamed. You don't feel judged. Hopefully everybody has a listener in their life. If you don't have somebody that listens, you need to make sure you have somebody that listens to you in your life. But you need somebody that guides you and challenges you, because sometimes just listening isn't enough. We need somebody that's going to say, I hear you, but have you thought about this? Mm-hmm. That can ask the right questions and that you're open to being challenged and some critical thinking. That's super important.
That's good.
And then just somebody that just literally, you need a friend that just walks through you with it. You know, just that they're there through thick and thin, through the highs and lows. It's really important to have that person that can just walk with you through anything. And so as a parent, we want to be all those things usually. I mean, today I'm speaking in general terms over the helicopter generation of parents. Sure. We want to be their end-all, be-all often. And we need to just take off that responsibility and say, we're not going to be the end-all, be-all. But what I can do is put my kids in a position where I'm encouraging them to have the right people. It's grandparents, it's coaches, it's teachers, right? It's good friends that I can then step back and with the 5-Star Life weekly conversation, I want to play a role in that. That's a way to bolster that. But then what if I'm not the only voice in their life and I have to have every conversation and have every input? What if there's other voices that can speak to the things that I want to address, but they're not mine to address because maybe I don't have that role right now in that area? They can hear it from somebody else.
Well, we need to talk about that when we come back, because then there's also that jealousy that you can't provide it, but somebody else can provide it. Mm-hmm. That's the unhealthy way to look at it, I think. But
yeah, interesting. Yeah. And that goes back to what identity and insecurity and fear and being rejected, that you're going to invest all this time and then somebody else is going to reap the connection, the rewards, the benefits of what you've sown. And all that is fear. The 5-Star Life Parent app. Each lesson includes a short video and simple discussion prompts designed to help families reconnect and start talking again. Because when parents lead the conversation, kids grow stronger. Download the 5-Star Life Parent app today and start your first family conversation this week, transforming kids' lives by challenging the way they think, act, and lead. We're talking about one of the biggest mistakes that parents make, and that is by overprotecting their kids.
And then we were saying that as a parent, you want to be those three things, or those, three personalities, but sometimes you can't. But there could be someone else, a teacher, grandparent, a friend that can provide those things. And I said, sometimes then jealousy creeps in as a parent because, well, they're telling my mom everything and they're not telling me anything. And why is that?
Yeah, it's amazing how when there's conflict or struggle or when your kid is struggling, you're like praying, hoping for somebody to help you with a breakthrough. And then the breakthrough happens. There's some connection that's made and they start to come alive. They start to shift. They start to listen. And they're saying things like, well, so-and-so said this. And you're like, I've said that 10,000 times. And it's all really good until you see like, oh, this is like, there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real mentorship thing happening here where they're telling them stuff that they're not telling me. And that can be hard. So for me, when I was in high school, my parents sat me and my brother down and shared that my dad was moving out of the house, that he had made some mistakes and their marriage was maybe not going to make it. And so he moved out, and I'm just like, it was devastating to me. And I remember I was doing what I tell kids not to do. I was going through adversity alone. And thankfully, our family had great support around it. And one of my dad's friends, who was he's a businessman, a great guy, he just reached out to me. He's like, hey, I want to check in and just see how you're doing. And I was like, okay. And so we went to lunch, and he just started asking questions. And I just started sharing and opening up. And he became a mentor for the next decade of my life that was really had a transformational impact on who I am today. And he helped walk me through serious adversity, confusion. I mean, I was at a point where it's like, what am I going to do? I'm either going to take my frustration out by, partying and girls and whatever, or I'm going to find some void to fill this pain. And his name is Lyle Gasho. Lyle helped me walk through the voids and what to fill it with. And for me, it was God. And he introduced me to just a whole new way of looking at that and integrating that into my life, into my being, and not looking elsewhere. And it transformed my whole life. And man, it makes me emotional. It's just incredible, those people. And so that relationship was a decade-long relationship where he became a father figure. And that is something that every parent has to check. Like, what do you do when God answers your prayers and they send somebody to help you and help your family?
Right. Because I think that, when you say that, I think there's hurt feelings, like, well, I'm their mother, how could she be a mother figure in their life? But I mean, you could have 10.
Yes.
It's like everybody can provide something that you can't if you know who you are.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's easy, because, sometimes you want to provide that.
Yeah.
But my gosh, if it's healthy and your child is able to receive and grow from that person, my gosh.
Yeah. It's a
makes
beautiful
our
thing.
job easier.
It's a beautiful thing. And it's something that we just have to check ourselves again. If we are looking in the mirror and we're giving ourselves some margin to process these thoughts and emotions, it doesn't take us long to identify like, oh, that's some insecurity. I need to check that.
You know what, though? But you were saying, kids should have these 3 people in your life, but we should too. We should have those people that challenge us. That when we go to them and say, so-and-so is talking to, my child, and makes me uncomfortable. That they're, instead of being like, oh, how dare they? Like, no, you need that person to start challenging. Like, that's what you've been praying for. That's what you wanted. They're helping them get on the right track.
And this is why America is so broken. We're broken because we as adults don't have those things. And we're not healthy. And what we've found in all of our programs is as parents get healthy, the ripple effect across their families is significant.
Mm-hmm.
And we start living life instead of just living in survival mode. We're starting to thrive and come alive and be at peace with who we are and where we're at.
And you know what? I said it before. We should all want that. You want to make your job easier. You don't want to do it all by yourself. Why is everybody exhausted? Because you're trying to do everything by yourself. It's like you got to ask for help.
And the truth is, the reality is, it's somewhere in between. People are hurting and struggling and trying to pay bills, trying to keep up, trying to make sure they're investing in their kids in the right programs, the right things. Like, I don't want to mess my kid up. I'm trying to help them be successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. All right. This is a fun show. And if you enjoyed this show, I really want to encourage you to go to our website and get involved with 5-Star. And this whole parent app is something I want you to think about. Think about the state of your family. Think about your children. And if you're a grandparent, there might be some things you can do to create family conversations that are really powerful and transformational. And it's about legacy, and kids need identity. They need legacy. They need to know they're a part of something bigger and stronger than their isolated world that they feel they're stuck in. Again, you can learn more at 5starlife.org. You can go to Google Play Store or the Apple Store to download our 5-Star Life Parent app. Check it out. Mia, thanks again for a great show.
Thank you.
And you can go to 5starlife.org to learn more. Have a great week. See you next week.